Hello everybody, I hope you're having a great day. My name is Julian and I'm with an expert on living trusts here in Southern California. His name is Steven Martinez. Steven, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Julian. How are you doing?
I'm good, Steven. Thank you. Steven, would you tell us what is a living trust?
Sure. A living trust is a legal entity where business owners, homeowners, place all of their properties, their assets for protection against lawsuits, and it also provides security for their families in the future.
Okay. Steven, and what is the importance of having a living trust?
One of the most important things, it's part of a plan for the future where your family is protected from additional costs when you pass away, and you can make sure that your family and other relatives receive what you want to leave them upon your passing. And there's also a lot of flexibility with a living trust that you wouldn't get with a will, for example.
Okay. Now, can you explain to us what's the difference between a will and a living trust?
Sure. First, with a will, that is a public document. So that means that any person that is not in agreement with the will can take you to court. And it's the probate court. And they can say, for example, well, no, in your case, Julian promised me that I could have his house. He promised me that I could have a car. So it really shouldn't go to this other person. And in that case, they file a lawsuit, you go to the probate court, and a judge will decide where your assets go. And there's also some costs involved with that. In a probate court, it can be up to 4% of the value of your assets. So if you have $500,000, $500,000, it's $20,000 cost. And then you have to get an attorney, a probate attorney, someone that specializes in probate law, and they're going to charge up to $500 an hour.
Wow.
And then the whole probate process could last months, even in some cases even years. So you're talking a lot of time and expense. And in the meantime, your family is waiting to receive their inheritance. But in comparison with a living trust, for example, that's a private entity. A probate court has no authority to start making decisions about where your property go. And there's really no dispute. No one can say, I'm not in agreement with that trust, because, like I say, it's a private document.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Now, what does the living trust protect us from?
That's a good question. Say, for example, you hire a tree trimmer, right?
Yes.
And they go up the tree. I've seen some of these workers, they go up the tree, and unfortunately sometimes they fall and they get seriously injured. In a lot of cases, your homeowner's insurance will not cover that particular accident. And if it's a serious injury where we're talking he has to go to the hospital, a lot of physical therapy, serious injury, this person can no longer work as he did before. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, not to mention legal costs. They could literally take away your house. Now, if you have your house in a living trust, you're protected. Why? Because the house belongs to the trust, and you're kind of separate from that.
Steven, could you tell me what could happen if I don't have a trust?
Sure. I know a real life situation where there was a young lady. She inherited a house from her aunt after the aunt died. Now, unfortunately, there was a relative who said and told her, no, aunt promised that part of the house was mine. So what happens was she literally took the young lady to court, and the process was drawn out, and the end result was they sold the house, but the state of California as well as the federal government took out more than half in taxes, and she had to give part ownership to the relative who sued her in probate court. So rather than get the full amount of the house, which at that time was around $150,000, she walked away with less than $40,000. So if there had been a living trust, that would not have happened. She would have gotten the full amount. She could have done whatever she wanted. Rent the house, sell the house, whatever the case might be, or just live in it with no problem.
So it is really important.
Sure, and that's just one example.
Okay. Now, what are the most common reasons why people are not sure about making their living trust?
There's some doubts, and sometimes people get anxious about putting all of their property into this legal entity that they really don't understand, and so they feel that they're losing control, that they they can't have access to their money or to their property. But actually, that's not really true. What happens is, when you establish your trust, you name like an administrator or a manager of the trust, and that's that person is called the trustee. Okay. And normally, when a person establishes a trust, he names himself as the trustee. So what that means is you can do whatever you want with all of the assets that are in your trust. You can sell, you can make contracts, you can purchase property, maybe like an apartment building, and have that rental income going into the trust, not to you, but to the trust. And so there's a lot of benefits involved. So you have a lot of control, a lot of flexibility.
Okay. Now, some people out there, they think that they can only be done by lawyers. Is that true?
That is not true. For example, here in the state of California, and I'm pretty sure throughout all of the country here in the United States, a person that has adequate education, for example, someone that graduated from law school, or maybe they completed some paralegal studies, they're fully authorized to complete legal documents on behalf of another person, provided that they have the proper insurance and they are authorized by the local courts. So a lot of times you don't need a lawyer to do some of the more basic things. And the biggest part of it, the benefit is you're going to pay much, much less. For example, establishing a trust with someone that's a legal document assistant versus going to a lawyer.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Now, Stephen, can you please give the viewers your contact information in case they're interested in the service that you provide?
Sure. I run a service here in Anaheim Hills. It's Biz Docs of Anaheim Hills, and there you'll see our web address. You can go to our website. There's more information that you can find out, see how a will or a trust could be of benefit to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Stephen. I appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you, Julian.
Thank you.
Thank you all our viewers.
Bye.